state of Virginia wants to hate me today. Probably caused it to happen too. Food for me. Knowing her, she'd probably been in the kitchen since the crack of dawn.
Because I'm a ghoul.
No store-bought food for us. I'm a very lucky son. Mom went through a lot of effort on my behalf. So it's only right I should clean up the mess my return home caused. Mom tried to wave aside my effort to help. Don't be silly, dear. You can wash up in your own state. You must be exhausted. But I remained firm despite the fatigue that had crept up upon tiredness as best as I could around my mom. But now she's potted off to the living room with Dad. I can't quite sniffle my yawns. The soap bubbles dance before my drooping eyes like something from a dream. Idly I reach out and touch one. Its shining spectacle surface is slick and wet to the touch. For all of 2 milliseconds before it burst. It disappears without a trace as though it was never there. Unfortunately, the pots and pans remain, and they're not going to go anywhere if I stand here spacing out. If only Ochigo would help a little. Mom told her to lend a hand, but... Hey, aren't you supposed to be doing the drying? I don't feel like it. But Mom asked you to... But Mom asked you to go... Let's try that again. Say that after I said asked, okay? But Mom asked...
Go be the dick.
That just looks so much better. But Mom asked you to help. Maybe she did.
I don't care.
Go eat a dick. But maybe she did. Oh God, we are ruining this game, but in a good way. Maybe which is fine by me. But maybe she did. But Mom isn't here to tell me what to do right now.
Also, you were adopted.
Not like you ever listen to her anyway, or anybody else for that matter.
Because she never took care of you.
I sigh. I've only been back home for a few hours, but Otigo's already starting to get on my nerves.
Like always.
Look, I've had a busy day. I do the washing. The least you could do is run a cloth over these pots and pans. It ruined my nails? No, thanks. I just painted them yesterday.
Can you guess what my response is?
Well, let's see. The character's main response is, I don't know why you're bothering painting your nails anyway. Nobody's going to see them. What is your response, Fire Ninja?
I'm gonna rip out your guts.
That seems like the logical answer.
Of course it is.
Shut up! Shut up! I didn't ask for your opinion!
Well, too bad.
Otigo's sitting at the kitchen table, her head propped up with one hand, the other idly flicking through a fashion magazine. Our cat Tammin, meanwhile, was laying in Otigo's lap. The sight strange.
Nobody ever loved you.
I've always loved cats, and I nagged my parents for one the moment I was old enough to form basic sentences. I'm not really sure why I'm so obsessed, but the prospect of owning a cat sounds absolutely magical to me during my childhood. I begged and begged and begged until my mother...
And then they locked me in the closet and tortured me for 24 years.
Until my mother finally caved into my demands and bought me a cat for my 8th birthday. That was Tammin. Tammin came with
and then she ripped out his guts. Right in front of me. That was part of the torture.
Tammin came with a caveat that I had to look after her by myself, but I didn't care. I was happy to have a cute feline friend of my very own, who I would love and cherish, and who would love and cherish me in return. Unfortunately, like most things in life, it didn't quite work out like that. Tammin has never liked me. When she lets me pet her, which is rarely, she does so under duress, her eyes narrowed and her back ridge ready to bolt at any moment. Tammin's always preferred Ochio, though I'm the one who used to feed her and empty her little tray. Cats don't know the meaning of the word loyalty. Probably because they're cats, not humans. They don't have the thumbs we do.
People don't know the meaning of the word loyalty.
They don't have the thumbs we do to flicker through dictionaries. Whatever. I've often wondered Timon likes Ortigo because they're so similar. They're both temperamental, selfish, self-centered. Ortigo is the only one who can carry Timon in her arms and the only one who can make Timon purr. Timon's purring right now, in fact. Her fluffy body vibrating, the sight is rather cute. It's a shame she never acts cute around me. Am I really that unworthy? Ortigo. Yes. I tried to cajole my sister once more, but she's glaring at me, and I soon realized I slipped up. Good God, trying to have a conversation with my little sister is like picking my way through a field of landmines. Sorry, Ultimo. Don't you think this is a little unfair? Life's unfair. But I only just got back home. I shouldn't have to do all the washing and the drying by myself.
Yes, you should.
I don't know why you're complaining. You're the one who volunteered. I know, but you're such a suck-up, you. You're always trying to score brownie points from people by acting like a good little boy. I'm not a boy. I'm nearly 20, and this... And is there anything wrong with helping others? I don't trust guys who act too nice. They always want something in return. And that is why all the nice men in the world are single, because women want a bad boy. Here's your lesson of the day.
No, it's because the people that claim they're nice guys are trash.
Hey, I'm nice. And I'm not a prick. Too much.
You have to clarify that.
I just want you to help me do the dishes. And the spatulas, and the pots, and the cutting bowls, and the boards, and the plates, and the chopsticks, and the dildos, and the noose.
The bungee cord that is my noose.
Alright, I know there's a lot, but come on. I'm doing most of the work here. Because you're so eager to help. Well, whatever. I'll give you a hand on one condition. What's that? I know Ortigo too well, even if I haven't been back home in a while, and there's a painfully high chance single condition where something will be something unpleasant. I hope she doesn't ask me to put wasabi in my eye. She's threatened me with worse before, but she doesn't threaten me, and neither does she ask me to injure myself for her amusement.
I always do that.
Instead, she says bizarrely, with a shred of embarrassment, uh-oh. So it's an embarrassment. Okay, what do you think it is?
Will you make me into a ghoul?
I thought you were going to say because we made Alabama jokes earlier that...
that would have been easy. Would you make me no longer become the Red Knight version?
I want a present. Pardon? I said, numbskull, I want a present. And what did you do to deserve a present?
Tokyo Ghoul issue 1.
Isn't it obvious?
I'm alive.
No. Jeez, you're so dense.
I'm still alive, so I deserve a present.
Ortigo rolls her eyes. You went all the way to Tokyo, duh, and you should have picked me up a souvenir or two. I wasn't on holiday, Ortigo. Him. I mean, Ultimo, sorry. Like I was saying,
I don't care about you.
I wasn't on holiday. I was studying at university, you know, to get a job.
You're not even my family.
But you were still... But you were still in Tokyo. Yes, and I was looking for a bikini. Maybe something like this.
No.
Ortigo turns the pages in her magazine and holds it up for my inspection. And this one here too. They're both cute, but they don't sell any nice clothes in this crappy little town. Go to the next town over then. I have. They haven't what I want either, but I'm sure they would in Tokyo. I've heard the boutiques there are large, and the malls. It all sounds amazing. I would love to go shopping in Ukibo or Sabio.
Go jump off the bridge.
Clothes and shopping are probably Ortigo's second and third favorite topics of conversation.
That was my response.
Especially, but clothes shopping beats them out by a wide margin. This is a one-sided discussion has actually managed to bring a rare smile to my sister's lips. For a moment, she actually looks like a sweet, charming girl.
That's a lie.
But the moment soon ends. Article signs and leans back in her chair, the legs screech against the floor unpleasantly. Tamara's ears perk up. She's always been sensitive to the slightest of sounds. Though comfortable for a few seconds ago, our fickle cat suddenly gets to her feet, or paws I guess, and hops onto the floor. I've never been to a mall before. I want to go. It sounds like fun. And then you die.
And then I show up and bring out her guts because screw her, she's a waste of a human life.
That's fine, Ninja, for you.
I've actually told someone that.
Malls ain't really that interesting. They just have a lot of shops. That's easy for you to say. Now you have all these opportunities. You get to go to huge metropolitans like Tokyo, and you don't even think to bring your little sister back a present. I'd kill to find clothes like this. She points to her magazine again. Around here. You have enough clothes already. It's true too. Article's closet is full to busting with outfits. She's the kind of person who buys clothes constantly, wears them once and then forgets about them. Sounds like my grandmother. Truly, this is the Western Renaissance at its finest. But I don't have the clothes I want. We can't always have what we want. Aren't you the one who said life is unfair? You could have at least asked me if I wanted any presents before you came back. Then you could have brought me back something nice. But why would I buy my own sister a bikini? That's kind of weird. I have to agree. That is weird.
Clearly.
So you won't get me a gift. It's too late now. I'm already back home. Article rolls her eyes. You could buy it when you get back and have it posted to me later, genius. Then you might as well order it online yourself. You're missing the point here. If I had to do that, it wouldn't be a present. And why do you deserve a present? You're so selfish. All you do is sit on your behind while I do the work.
Exactly.
That takes
a lot more effort.
That's because you offered like a moron. Right, that does it. I step forward to do what exactly? I'm not sure. Throwing my wet towel at Otico's face is the first thing that comes to mind.
I took the razor wire out of my pocket and wrapped it around her back.
But
I squeezed as tightly to just stab her back off her body.
But I don't get a chance to wreak my revenge. That's because at that exact moment, Tamron, something small and furry witnessed itself around my suspicious ankles. I struggle like a dark-water arm is flying out for support, but there's nothing to grab onto. I teeter, I tother, and then, quite spectacularly, I fall. My behind hits the
I unleash my cognate and rip out the cat's guts because that cat is evil.
My behind hits the floor with a dud thud. My head smacks against the back of the kitchen cabinets with the small of my neck catches against one of the handles. Oh, holy. I curse under my breath. It hurts. It hurts a lot, actually. Tamron, of course, escapes relatively unscratched. She gives me the withering look and darts away, her tail held proudly aloft.
That's what she thinks.
Article snorts. You're such a klutz. That's what you get for refusing to buy me, your only sister, a fitting present. I grip my teeth together and count to 10 inside my head. If I don't, I'll end up saying something I regret.
I will not regret this. I never loved you.
You need to share these videos with your friends at school, and your family. Article really...
Why? Because of such a positive influence?
Because they would see your sense of humor. Article is really impossible.
A lot of people know my sense of humor.
December 29th, Friday. Breakfast the next morning is an awkward affair. Artigo, who is sitting opposed me at the table, barely gives me a second glance. Her entire attention is directed at her miso soup with laser-like intensity. Is she really that upset I didn't agree to buy her a bikini? Why should I anyway?
Yes.
Knowing Artico's taste, that scantily tips of fabric held together with flimsy strings that she covets would cost more than a meal capable of feeding a whole family. Besides, I have no real desire to loiter around the women's swimsuit section in any clothing store, especially not for the sake of my sister.
Sure you do.
I know Artico wouldn't appreciate it, and I didn't go to Turkey to buy my family gifts. I'm not a tourist. I live there now. It's my home.
Who cares?
But this town used to be my home, not so very long ago. Things really have changed during the last 8 months. Although Artico is trying her hardest to avoid me, there's something softly nostalgic about this scene. In fact, it's nostalgic precisely because she's avoiding me. I suppose Artico's foul temper is, too, just a part of daily life. My old life. Used to get on well enough when we were younger, but we haven't for a few years now. I don't know why. I don't think I've ever done anything egregious terribly to her other than call her the wrong name from time to time. Make that most of the time. Still pondering, I fish a cube of tofu out of my miso soup and pop it in between my teeth. It's smooth and silky, embedded with dashing stock, and has a deeper, richer flavor than any tofu I've tasted before. Mom watches me expectantly, a small smile on her face. How is it, dear? Really great.
And then diabetes hit.
I return her smile with one of my own. Have you gotten even better at cooking? Oh, stop. You're trying to flatter me. Well, maybe.
I've got better ingredients, like people.
And if you keep it up, you'll get seconds. You'll see if you don't. That was the general idea, yes. When did you become such a smooth talker, you? Being in the big city must have taught you a thing or two about flattering the ladies.
Nope. I just learned to kill him.
Oh, please. I'm no lady. I'm old enough to be his mother.
That's the definition of a lady.
Gross. Get a room, you two. That's the most I've heard my article do in the past 20 minutes. I swear, being with her is like trying to squeeze blood from a stone. But at least stones can't pull faces and call you gross. Not even the stones in the mythical land of Tokyo.
You want a bet?
So, do you want another helping of miso soup, honey? Yes, please. I hold out my bowl and Maud takes it, busting off to the counter to fetch my top up.
And says no.
And what about the rice? Do you have enough? Well...
Jump off a bridge.
I guess a little more can't hurt. That's right. You're still a growing boy. You need to keep your energy up, and especially now you're back home. Sometimes I worry about you in the city, you. I don't know if you're eating enough or eating the right things.
I'm 30. Go away.
I think he's been eating more than enough, Mom. I mean, look at him. What do you mean? Isn't it obvious?
He has diabetes.
You're going to end up like Dad if you're not careful. Well,
He weighs 500 pounds. Go jump off a bridge. Die. Laugh. Die. Laugh. Die. Laugh.
Well, it's about time we started taking after me. I've always thought he was too skinny and looked like that Chris Redfield fellow. Oh, don't you worry. He's looking more and more like you day by day. Stop being stupid. Cut it out. I glare at my little sister briefly. When she was being silent, part of me wished she would say something, but now she opened her mouth. I want nothing more than for her to keep it shut. There are a handful of things in the world that should never be opened, no matter what. The first is the sealed-off entrance to Zamaza's tomb. The second are the 2 tubs of my grandmother's homemade natio sauce. The third is Adigo's mouth. Mom hands me my bowl of miso soup, now filled to the brim, and exchanges it for my half-finished bowl of brown rice. She goes to the rice cooker, and made me good-natured. She hums while she scoops more rice into my bowl, then returns it to me with a smile. Here you go, sweetie. Enjoy. Oh,
I took a dump in it. Enjoy.
Oh, thanks. I try to sound enthusiastic, but my good mood has begun to wane. I poke at the cube of tofu. I poke at the tube of tofu in my miso soup. It bobs like a rubber duck in the bathtub. I know Atago's trying to get at me, and I don't want to give her the satisfaction of winning. But now it's impossible for me not to feel self-conscious. Have I already put on weight? I don't think I look any different than I did 8 months ago. But Atago's forever.
Before I weighed
$2.99. But Atago's forever pouring through fashion magazines and peering at her reflection in the mirror. She probably has a better eye for looks than I do. I guess I have been eating out more than I used to. It's to be expected, really, when there are so many restaurants and fast food places in Tokyo. And I live next to a McDonald's that's open 24 hours a day. I hope they got permission to say McDonald's.
Wait, what are you talking about? I only ate 14 Big Macs every 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's why I weigh only 100 pounds.
I only weighed 100 pounds before that. Now I weigh 300.
Scoffing lukewarm chicken nuggets at 3 in the morning while working on an essay due later that day is peak student living. Oh, I thought you said you were hungry, you. Why are you picking at your food like that?
I don't like it. I can't eat it.
I'm fine. Pff, fine, he says.
I can't eat it, you idiot.
You're going to look like that. You're a little monster if you're not careful. Is that such a bad thing? I always thought he was pretty cute. I meant his version from the first games with the round chubby belly. Atago. Hey. Atago kicks the leg of the chair beneath the table. That's otium to you. Her kick upsets the table and my precious full bowl of miso soup splashes over the table and onto my lap. It's uncomfortably hot and I hiss beneath my breath. Atago, be more careful. I think you're the one who needs to be more careful. You, just look at yourself. Look at you. You're so childish. You need to grow up. I think you've grown up a little too much, big brother. Dear brother. Oh, nada, but out. Why, you... Now, you two. Try to behave, please. You're not children anymore. That's right. Be nice to your sister, you. That's right, you. Be nice to your sister. Grrr. I grip my teeth together. Being the oldest sibling, I'm always the one who gets into trouble no matter what Atago does. My parents are soft. My parents are soft on her. Dad has always wanted a daughter, I think, so he let her get away with a lot. It doesn't hurt that she's so pretty. I want to stamp my feet on the floor and say that this isn't fair, but I know doing that would really make me seem like a child. I had to try and bear it, or will I? All of a sudden I'm hit with a bright idea. You know what? I was thinking about visiting Grandma today. Huh? Why would you do a stupid thing like that? To an outsider, Atago's reaction might seem weird, but I think she has a valid point. For once. Amio is a pentagrandma, the only grandparent who's still alive. She lives even further out in sticks than we do.
Because I'm not a bad grandchild.
If you can imagine such a thing. Houses suited in a village far little than this town, a good 40 minutes away by train. The train chugs along an old semi-abandoned track that's rusted and overgrown with weeds. There are no buildings for miles around, no streets, no houses, just flat, seemingly endless expansions of fields. I think about 300 people call my grandmother's teeny village home. I'm surprised it hasn't been bulldozed over to make room for a highway yet, but maybe the planners and the local government don't even know the village exists. It's so out of the way, more birds live there than people, building their nests in holy roofs of old abandoned houses. I used to hate all family visits to Grandma Yukio when I was little, but now I'm starting to think that the peace and quiet of the countryside would be good for me. It'd certainly be more peaceful without Atago around. I'm being serious. I haven't seen Grandma in a while, and if I let this moment slip by, who knows when I'll get the next chance. I don't understand why you would want to take this chance. We had to go there this summer and it was so boring. I got bitten to death by bugs too. Well, You know how it is.
Ooh.
She's getting on in years, and I want to see her if, well, just in case. You don't need to worry about my mother. She's a tough old bird, tough as they come. I know, but it really has been a while. Well, I think it's a nice idea. Umiko's always been fond of you, and she's only been to Tokyo a few times in her life. I'm sure she'd love to hear how you've been doing at university. Then I'll go and call her right now. Yes, you do that, but do you have any idea when you'll be coming back? I'm not sure yet. It takes a while to get out there, and the trains and buses don't run very often. Maybe they'll all get canceled and then you get stuck up there in the mountains for months and months. Why does Odako sound so pleased about that prospect? If that happens, I'll change my name to Hidia and start rearing goats. Odako snorts and rolls her eyes but doesn't add any further comment. That is, if a muffled freak under her breath counts as further comment. Just don't stay with your grandmother for too long. We want to spend time with you too. Don't forget, it's almost New Year's. We need to visit the local shrine together as a family. That's what we always do, isn't it, dear? That's right. No. New Year's wouldn't be the same without you.
New Year's, I threw my kid out the balcony.
I know my mother's a fun older woman to be around. She's always doted on you, but don't let her take up all your time. Don't worry, I'm going to be gone a day, 2 at the most. That's what you say, but all your days are precious. You're my only son, and I really have missed you. And I am Grandma's only grandson. I'm sure she's missed me too. More than Udako has, at any rate. My little sister is reclining in her chair, chopsticks in her mouth, idly pushing a piece of tofu from one side of her cheek to the other. When she sees me looking, she scowls and turns her head away. And I thought little sisters were supposed to respect their older brothers. Why did I have to get stuck with Otako? I phoned my grandmother after breakfast, and she says more than happy to accommodate me for a few days. At least somebody is. Luckily, I don't have too much to pack. I was so tired after dinner last night, I didn't have time to take all my belongings out of my knapsack. I retrieve my bag from my bedroom, then make my way downstairs. Tamara is meddling about in the entrance hall by our shoes. She sniffs my sneakers curiously, her pink nose twitches, her head cocked to one side. Maybe my scent has disturbed her. Cats are incredibly territorial, and it's been 8 months since I last came back here. Do I smell unfamiliar to her now? Maybe she thinks I'm a stranger, a hostile invader. Oh well, Tamara's never liked me anyway. Shoo! I waved a hand in Taman's direction. She hisses, scampers off down the hallway, her tail is stuck up in the air like an aerial, as it is so often. Stupid cat. I take a seat on the stairs, slide my shoes onto my feet.
Dog, you make me look bad.
Booga. You could act a little nicer to me, you know.
No, I can't.
I don't
have to like you.
I don't see why she should. You're never nice to her. Oh. I glance upwards, meeting my sister's narrowed eyes. It's you. Geez, and you say Tamron has personality problems. You're the one who should be acting nicer, you. And why's that? You should be more acceptable that I came to talk to you before you left. Duh. Yes, I'm overwhelmed with emotion that a goddess, such as yourself, delighted to materialize before a mere mortal like me. Quite literally, too. I didn't hear Origo's footsteps as she approached me. Maybe she really did come out of thin air. Then again, it's more likely Origo is so skinny her feet don't make any telltale noises as they touch the floor. Origo doesn't eat much. She picks at her food daintily like a baby bird and pushes things around in her bowl and her plate, but not very much actually goes inside her mouth. Except one thing. And what would that be, Fine Ninja?
My fist.
I was hoping you were going to say dick.
No.
Maybe she's trying to get that perfect bikini body at the end of December.
No.
Origo might not be the nicest of girls, but you can't say she isn't. Dedicated. So, why are you here? Are you going to beg me not to leave? Will you miss me after all?
No.
As if. I should have known. I just came here to give you this. It's so you don't starve. Origo throws something in my direction. It's a small lunchbox wrapped up cutely in a pink and white spotted handkerchief. The handkerchief is tied at the top of the and a neat ribbon keeping the separate layers of the lunchbox held together. It's a very sweet gesture. At least it would be if Article wasn't squalling. But it doesn't matter my younger sister at all. What is she playing at? Are you really giving this to me? Well, duh. Who else would I be giving it to? That's a stupid question, I guess. Why are you sitting there gulping? You let flies in? Oh. Sorry, I just didn't expect this. A cutely packaged lunchbox is the very last thing I expect Article to hand me. Unless the contents are poisoned, of course.
See?
Younger sisters in TV shows are usually sweet and daunting. They worry about their older brothers, fuss over their health, and make them delicious food. Yeah, have they ever seen Drake and Josh or Beverly Hills 90210? It's a shame these girls only exist inside the TV screen. My little sister is the exact opposite of all that. That's why this situation is so surprising. By any chance, did you make this? No. Article rolls her eyes. Mom did, obviously. Oh, right. Of course. As if Article would ever cook for me. I'm not sure if Article can cook in the first place, though a lot can change in 8 months, and even if she could, she wouldn't waste her culinary prowess on me. She hates me. Well, thanks for giving it to me.
I hate her too.
It's nothing. Mom told me to. If she had an axe, I wouldn't even have bothered. I figured. Now, take it. Hurry, hurry. Article slams the lunchbox in my hand, scoring. She used so much force, I almost dropped it. Now get going. I'm sick of looking at your idiotic face. Well, thanks, I guess. Whatever. I righted the lunchbox curiously with one hand. I don't know what's inside, but I can hear the sound of food sliding around hidden from my prying eyes. What could have Mom made me for my journey? There'd be rice, no doubt. That's a standard. Rolled egg omelet? 2. Maybe small hamburger steaks or fried chicken? Don't shake the lunchbox like that. You'll ruin it. Oh, I'm sorry. Now, what are you waiting for? Run along. You'll miss the train, and if you don't, and then you really will be stuck with me. Wouldn't that be awful? I open my mouth ready to retort, but I don't know what I should retort with. I never seem to know when I'm with or to go. That doesn't really matter, though, because she turns about on her heels and stalks off in such a manner Tamara did earlier. If Article had a tail, I'm sure it would be sticking up in the air. I watched from before signing. Thanks for your concern. Well, I can always look on the bright side. I doubt my relationship with my lovely sister can get any worse. If you're already at rock bottom, there's no place you can go than up, right? Ha ha ha. My train journey is relatively unremarkable and would be perfectly silent if it weren't for the rattling of the old train's wheels against the track. I'm one of the only people... I'm one of the only people sitting in this old jittering car. There's a woman with brown hair holding a banquet of white lilies on her lap, and a man with a young boy, his son presumably, resting against his shoulders, a stuffed bear clutched to his chest, but that's all. Otherwise, the carriage is utterly disdained, just like that flat, earthless countryside that spreads past us. I stare miserably out of the windows, which are frosted over with powdered snow icing. The rice fields and hedgerows are pure white. All the trees have been stripped of their leaves. The cool wind runs through them, making them shiver. The uneased hardness sway pressure above my head. Why are these hard rests on an old train like this? Nobody needs to stay in. There are always few seats available. Not enough people living around here. There ain't any houses, just fields. The Hartset seems like a useless expense, rocking pointlessly to and from motionless of the train. It's cold outside it's cold inside the train compartment, and my every exhale of air messed up the windows. The young boy clutching the bear mumbles in sleep. A strand of drool dips slowly from the corner of his mouth. His father wipes it away with a tissue. His tender, gentle gesture makes me think of my mother. Now she would baby me when I was that boy's age. She still babies me now, even though I'm almost 20, but it really isn't the same. I'm getting older and nobody can stop the inevitable march of time. During the long journey, which lasts a good half hour longer than it has any right to. I ate my lunch. Mom did a wonderful job, just like usual. There's bun rice as I expected. Mom favors bun rice over rice. She says it has more flavor. Accompanied with egg roll omelets, cherry tomatoes, crispy fried chicken, and slices of apples.
Still racist.
Mom used to make me lunches like this for me back when I was in elementary school. If I ignore my reflection in the train's windows, I could almost fool myself into believing I'm a small child again. I closed the lid on the empty lunchbox and set it onto my lap. Resting my fingers on the box, I turned my head and looked outside the window. At the sultry snow clinging to each and every surface. I feel like I'm trapped inside a snow globe. The biggest snow globe ever to have been created. When the train finally pulls up into the station with an unpleasant screech of brakes and a fury of powdered snow, I almost feel remorseful. I was really enjoying my journey, and I wasn't the only one. The woman with the little jolts with her eyes wide, I think she was starting to nod off, clinging to her salty crisp baguette like some sort of talesman. The little boy with the stuffed bear jokes, wide awake likewise, his glances about the almost empty train compliment in the abandoned train station and blinks. His eyes fill with tears, then he starts to cry. I don't really blame him. I used to feel like crying whenever my parents took me to this tiny village too. It's so unkempt and run down. It only inspires vaguely uneasy feelings of depression. They're near the old train station. Though station might be a bit generous when there's only one platform, tempers one aspect of the village beyond it perfectly. It's darn desolate and almost entirely removed from the real world. All the same, I think I've gained a newfound appreciation for peace and quiet after living in Tokyo. It's relaxing, even if the young boy's tears ain't. The boy's dad leans over, attempting to console, but I pay them little heed. I get to my feet, pulling my luggage out from the rack above my head. It's time to get going. My grandmother greets me cheerfully when I arrive at her home. She rattles off the usual pleasants while I take off my shoes in the entrance hall. How much she missed me, how happy she is to see me, and how I am welcome to stay with her as long as she likes. Which means she's already moved and lined up beside my grandmother's. When to boot, she ushers me into the living room. It's not until we are both seated beneath the curtain, the heater beneath warming our feet, that she says the faithful line of all grandmothers say to their grandchildren when they haven't seen them in a few months. My, you really have grown. This is predictable as clockwork. I wonder if there's some kind of script that grandparents operate from. Or maybe an obscure law. As I ponder this, I look down at myself and frown. Have I really grown taller?
Oh, yes, definitely.
To be quite honest, I can't see any difference. I think my grandmother's being a bit too optimistic. Either that, or she shrunk during the last few months, which isn't beyond the realm of possibilities, actually. Strange things happen to our bodies as we get older. I think I look the same as always.
Maybe to you, because you see yourself in the mirror every day. It's hard to notice change when it creeps up on you.
I guess.
It's different for me. I don't see you in 8 months. You shot up like a bean sprout.
I think Mom said something like that yesterday, too.
Herschel did? Yeah. Then I'll take her word for it. She has a good eye, that woman.
Dad didn't seem to notice, though.
Well, take him I wouldn't. You can't see more than 5 feet past his own face. For our crucial smarts, I don't know if she made the right decision when she married my son. But if it's coming his mother, I'm glad she did. He needs a woman to help guide him in my absence.
Right. My voice tears off. I'm not sure what to add to that. My grandmother is a strange woman. She likes teasing people, particularly my dad. And she jokes, and so often it's hard to tell when, if ever, she's being serious. She reminds me a little of a fox, actually. She's easily as devious. I sometimes wonder how she managed to raise a straightforward man like my father.
Anyway, would you like some green tea? I can always brew you a cup.
Oh, and you don't have to. I don't want to cause you any trouble.
Take Taking care of my beloved grandson is never any trouble. I might be old, but I'm not that old.
She has a point. Grandma Ukimo might be in her 80s, but she is as energetic as a woman half her age. Her spirit is very much alive, but her body betrays her years. Her fingers are long and skinny, her face inky with wrinkles, and her eyes would be horrible unfocused without the aid of her glasses. Despite all this, however, my grandmother pulls herself to the feet with a smile betraying no weaknesses. For such an old woman, her tongue is quite impressive, but I'm worried all the same. You don't need to make the tea for me. I can always help you. I pushed my palms against the surface of the old coach, ready to get to my feet, but...
Now that would never do.
Sit down, dear. You're the guest, and I see you so rarely these days, and I want to take care of you while I have the chance. I get that tea for you in a moment. Right, well, thank you for your hospitality.
You don't need to be so formal, dear. We're family.
Sorry. And you don't need to apologize either. So, I catch myself before I can make the same mistake twice, and my grandmother smiles fondly.
You really are Hiki's son. She's very polite, too. A modern woman, in fact. I think you're more like her than my Kiamiya.
Is that a good thing?
It is what it is. No matter who your parents are, you're still you at the end of the day.
Right.
So the tea, do you like green? You do like green tea, don't you? You have to forgive my poor memory, but it's been such a long time I've quite forgotten.
Green is fine.
Good, it's all I have at the moment anyway.
You can always let my tea, but...
Oh well, that's in the past. Now, would look at me rabbiting on. I need to get that kettle brewing. The work of a hostess is never done.
And I need to take a drink of water, good lord. I don't think I've read this much since high school. Out loud. My grandmother pads out the living room, her footsteps cushioned by her creamy slippers. I begin to glance around in my grandmother's absence, letting the heat of the Kotsuko smooth my heavy feet and aching legs. My grandmother's home is whiteness Japanese. The walls are supported with wood, the floor is made from the tamarind mats, and the doors are sliding screens. This is the kind of architecture feels almost rustic after my time spent in Tokyo. My apartment in Tokyo has a distinct Western feel. There are no tamarind floors, and there's not that much wood either. There are a lot of smooth, shiny plastic surfaces, however, and I sleep in a bed instead of a futon. This old house is as far away from my apartment as it possibly to get, and it looks the same as always. The same pictures hang on the walls, the same books line the shelves, and the smooth wooden fruit bowl rests atop of the kuchiya. The only object in this room that shrews Japanese sensibility is a French doll sitting on a small table by a bookshelf. The doll has blonde hair tied back in the neat, ringlets, blue eyes fingered with long lashes, and small pouty lips. She wears a dress made of silk, raw silk I think, with matching shoes and socks. I think her name is Listia? My grandparents bought last year when they were on holiday to Europe more than 50 years ago. She's been a permanent fixture of this house ever since, even if she's a tad out of place. When she was younger, Ottigo used to examine Licia, brushing out her hair and unbuttoning, then re-unbuttoning her dainty little shoes. I played with Licia too, though not quite as delicately as myself. I used to tip the poor doll upside down until you see what kind of sort of underwear she had on. Plain white drawers if you're interested. It wasn't a particularly exciting sight. Visiting my grandparents was never exciting. This old house reminds me of my childhood, of long, seemingly endless summer's days where I would lounge about in the shade trying to keep both the heat and my own boredom at bay. It never worked. Sometimes my parents and my grandparents and Ottigo and I would eat slices of watermelon sitting on the wood veranda outside. The watermelon has grown locally, its firm green skin concealing and inviting pale pink until it is shuttered with little black seeds. Used to sprinkle salt on our slices of watermelon to draw out the flavor. It's a trick Dad taught me. It was kind of fun, I guess. But the warm summer air thronged with intense insects. They buzzed and bit and sucked my blood, leaving me with little red wheals over my arms and legs. Fortunately, it's too cold for insects right now. My grandmother's home was the same as it was during those long, lazy summer days. But now the windows are glazed with ice, and the kuchiya is the focal point of the living room. Cusco and the oranges, the pictures on the walls, Licia on her desk, and opposite the boxy television set, a single syllable falls from my lips. I was wrong. There is something different about this room after all. A small shrine has been indicated on the stand in the corner, a photograph of my grandfather in the center, a few candles around the edges. My grandfather died a little over a year ago before I went to university. I haven't seen my grandmother since the funeral. I haven't been to her home. I've never seen this shrine. I swallow. I never used to like visiting my grandparents. I knew they were nice people, and they always gave me spending money on my birthday and New Year's, but I was too young to appreciate their company. Then my grandfather died. He died, and I wasn't upset that because I didn't really know him, but that upset me more than his passing did. I didn't know him. How was that possible? I had plenty of opportunities to talk to him during my childhood, but I never took advantage of them. Instead, I spent my time at my grandparents' home lounging around like a fat cat, reading and rereading volumes of boys' manga I bought with me to stave off inevitable boredom. Maybe that's the real reason I decided to see my grandmother today. Artigo can come to my decision, but this is something that weighed on me for a while. Guilt. I don't want my grandmother to die like my grandfather, as a mysterious, benevolent entity who only existed as nothing more than a shadow in the primary of my life. I want to get to know her a little better, not as a stranger, as a family member, but as a human being. She deserves it. She's always been so nice to me, after all. Her and my grandfather.
Sorry to keep you waiting, you.
My grandmother enters the living room supporting a tray in her rupee hands.
Here's your tea.
Oh, thank you. Do you need any help with that?
Don't fuss so much, dear. Like I said, you're my guest. It's my job to look after you. Now sit back down.
My grandmother slides a cup of tea from the tray and places it atop the cuccia, beside the bowl of oranges. Thank you. I bow my head, my voice hushed. Went to my grandmother's, placed her cup of tea down, and slid beneath the covers before I take my first sip.
Is it good?
I swished the tea from one side of my mouth to the other, savoring the taste. I never liked green tea when I was little, but now I developed a tolerance for it that borders on fondness with the right circumstances are met. My grandmother's tea, fortunately, meets all those criteria. The tea has a soft, slightly muted taste. The leaves have been steeped for just the amount of time, allowing the entity flavor to seep through the warm water. It's good. Thanks a lot.
It's no worry, dear. Yumiko always loved my tea. She said brewing tea was my one-time like grandpa, huh?
Though it might be insensitive, I can't help but glance back at the shrine. My grandfather looks back at me from behind the smooth glassy frame and turns him a smile on his face. I think it's a nice picture. It would be too far sad if it was his funeral picture bore a frown. Though, now that I think about it, I can't remember even seeing him frown. He was a very cheerful, good-natured person. He swore it was because of the air around him. It's the clearest air in Japan, was what he was always told me. It's been a while since his funeral, huh?
That's right. It's been more than a year already.
Though it feels like it was only yesterday. Do you, I let my gaze drop to the tabletop. The creaky wooden surface is scuffed with age, and its end carried with marks even deeper than the wrinkles in my grandmother's face. I wonder how old this Kretschka is. It looks like it's been through the wars. Maybe literally. Do you miss him?
Of course I miss him. We live in a very part of the world, but Yukio had a hack for bringing things to life.
My grandfather had a loud, booming voice, even when he was well into his 80s. I can still remember him calling out, the sound invading every single nook and cranny of his small wooden house. The watermelon's ready! Wonder how long that was ago. Maybe 5 years, maybe 10. When I went to sleep, I could always hear him snoring. It drowned out everything. Now, however, my grandmother sighs. I can hear the candles in the summer, and in the wind in the winter more clearly than ever before. Did this snoring bother you? Oh, not really. I got used to it. People can get used to anything. Have you gotten used to the wind? Not just yet. Maybe I should amend my previous statement. People can get used to anything when they're young. And when they get older, we go into our habits. We fall into our routines. And when things come along, to disrupt that, it unsettles us. It takes longer to adjust. I'm sorry. My grandmother smiles gently. Why are you apologizing, dear? You didn't kill Ukiya. I know, but you have nothing to feel sorry about. Ukiya loved you a lot, you know. He did? Of course. You're a precious grandchild. I'm sure he still loves you whenever he may be, but he can't give you New Year's money anymore. And my grandmother laughed, shaking her head. I'm not sure whether I should laugh or not. Might seem insensitive, so I take another sip of my green tea and said, that's fine. I am too old for New Year's money now. Suppose you are, yes, you're getting bigger and bigger by the second. Origo's snide comment about my expanding girth niggles at me. I said I mispronounced that. Nudges at me, my cheeks turn pink, and I bow my head staring at my lap. I'm not that big. Not big then, tall. Yukio was tall and all. Come on, you must take. I'm so vital senses. A neat circle of fruitcake with a white icing. The Christmas in this countryside, however, all as far away from that idol as you can imagine. The snow here can fall thick and fast between the months of December and March. It can even snow all the way into April if the weather is cold enough, and the weather seems to be getting colder and colder with every passing year. Some of the very old houses around these parts, the wooden walls and laths worn, eaten and worn, actually collapsed beneath the weight of the snowfall a couple of years ago. The roofs simply caved in, unable to bear the heavy burden of all that pure white snow. It's little wonder that the legends of fearsome snow women who prowled the mountains at night looking for lost travelers originated from this area. You never find these snow women out in Tokyo. In the city, the temperature that can lead young men astray are limited to pachinko parlors and smoky azkiyas. I guess ghosts seem laughable when you're surrounded by so many modern, high-rise buildings. It's much more isolated in the countryside, quieter, loner. If I strain my ears, I can hear the sound of the wind rustling through the skinny, diluted trees outside. I stray beneath the Akshira. All of a sudden, I feel like a young kid. You can stay here as long as you want if the trains ain't running, though I hope you don't get too bored. There isn't much to do out here, particularly when the snow starts falling. It's fine. I came here to spend time with you anyway. How sweet. If only Archigo would do the same. She prefers to be called Ortium now. Oh, yes. I forgot. When you get to be my age, you start forgetting things, just like Kukia. He was always misplacing his glasses, even when they were on the bridge of his own nose. You seem pretty spry to me, in fact. I think you even look younger than before. Well, thank you, that's very kind. I'm lucky to have a caring grandchild like you. Oh. It's nothing, really. And I meant it. I had so many opportunities to reach out to my grandparents in the past, but I never bothered. Visiting them in my youth was a painful experience, and even worse than having teeth pulled at the dentist. Then before I realized it, my grandfather was dead. He was dead, and I never tried to get to know him. That was the wake-up call I needed. It's probably because of the weather. My grandparents, though they were born in a different generation to mine, and are still here. I got lonely in Tokyo in my first few weeks of starting university, even though I was always surrounded with people. Maybe I was homesick. I can't imagine how lonely my grandmother must feel now that her husband of more than 20 years has passed. She's been with him for such a long time and devoted so much of her life to him, and now he's gone. Vanished into thin air. My grandmother's still smiling, but I do wonder. I glance at grandfather's shrine once more. His photograph looks back at me, his eyes unblinking. Unfortunately, a photographer can't bring back what has been lost. This is just a snapshot of frozen time, forcibly removed from all contact one day to be devoid of all meaning. What worth will photographs like these have 50 years from now? 100? 500? Who will remember my grandfather when the rest of his family has gone? I knot twist in my stomach. Outside, the wind outside continues to howl. The weather forecast was right. Later that evening, it really does start to snow. The snow spirals through the air in delicate gray flakes like barriers in toward skies. The snowfall is soft at first, almost tender, as though anxious about whether it should land on the earth or not, but the flakes soon increase in size and volume. Now, at around 9 in the evening, the whole ground has been steeped in white. I watch the snow as it falls outside the window. Still sitting beneath the earthia, there's so much of it, one could almost believe it's being dumped from the sky by a truck. It will be a cold night tonight. I nodded my head dumbly. The television is on the background, but I'm not watching it. I haven't been watching TV for the past half hour, but I'm too busy staring at the snow. Each flake of snow that drifts past the window stirs new memories in my heart. It just doesn't snow like this in Tokyo. It doesn't even get cold enough. I never thought I'd miss the snow, but now I feel strangely nostalgic to it. And about planning... Now we missed that part. And well, surprises are supposed to be kept secret, you know. I don't want to spoil anyone's fun. At least of us ever. That's why we love you, Anna. All women need to have one or two secrets, even those who spend their lives performing. The television buzzes dimly, images flicker on the screen, but they look hazy and indistinct, as though I'm viewing them from beneath a film of water. A man in a gray suit sits on the couch. A group of girls clad in ginger gingham face him. Spoke with a wink that would make any man's heart flutter. If you fall off the charms of the adorable Anna and her group, Plantain Princesses, please consider supporting their newest release. And again, for any latecomers, what is your latest CD called? Dreaming in December. Do you know that group, Yoon? I turned, tearing my eyes away from the window, looking over the girls who are displayed on the TV. The image on the screen is shaking uncomfortably like it's being broadcast live from a boat in the Memphis in various colors: green, blue, yellow, purple, and pink. So, the Power Rangers have stopped fighting evil and are now singers. Okay. I think the girl in pink sitting in the center is the leader. Anna, was it? I think Ortigo likes that group, but I'm not interested in idols. I don't listen to pop music either, but they look like nice girls. They're very smiley. They have to be smiley. That's how they sell CDs. How cliche. It's that what living in the city does to people. Living in the city and the internet, maybe. Well, I wouldn't know much about that. I've never gone along with the so-called World Wide Web. My grandmother makes quotation marks with her fingers when she says it, as though the internet is some kind of strange voodoo magic far beyond her understanding. Well, to the people who ain't familiar with the internet, it might as well be voodoo magic. I don't entirely understand how it works myself. It's a good thing I'm studying law, not computering. Kamiya tried to set me up with one of his old monitors, and Ontimo led to hand, but Yumio couldn't wrap his head around it, and I couldn't either. Well, guess you don't need to worry about it. I try not to. I know I'm just a relic of the past. Oh, no, you're not a relic exactly. A fossil, then? Well, you don't need to be worrying about hurting my friends, you. I know where I stand. I'm nothing like those girls. What girls? The ones on television. Those girls look so bright and cheerful, even though they're wearing such short skirts. I would never have been allowed to dress like that when I was their age. My poor mother's heart would have stopped beating. Times are changing. That's right. I'm beginning to notice it more and more. I just can't keep up with you young people. Half what Otoko says goes over my head, I'm afraid. All this talk about boy bands and fashion and TV shows. You shouldn't pay any attention to Otoko. Her head's as empty as a Halloween pumpkin. You're so cruel to your little sister, you. You always bullied her. Me bully her? Still, my grandmother open-mouthed at this utter... Has she not been paying attention to the way Otoko treats me, or has she simply forgotten? Maybe she doesn't know because we don't visit her enough. But I think I need to set the record straight. I think it's the other way around. Otoko never has a nice word to spare for me. Maybe she doesn't think you deserve nice words, do you? Why not? You did lock her in a futon closet when you were younger. Oh yeah. I paused, shamefaced, self-indulgent anger spent. I guess my grandmother's right. I did do that. It happened so long ago I totally forgotten. I think Otoko was trapped in that cramped, musty closet for half an hour until my parents realized she was missing and organized a search party. So you're saying you say you're getting on in years, but you have a better memory than I do. How could I forget you caused such a commotion? Well, I guess I used to be a brat when I was younger. Most children behave badly. It's nothing to be ashamed about. But I don't know if you ever apologized to her. My grandma gives me a piercing look. Did you apologize, Ikima? No, but it was so long ago it's not like any of it matters anymore. That's what you might think. But these little things stay with people. Women are incredibly good at holding grudges. Are you speaking from experience? I'm afraid that is a well-kept secret. My grandmother taps the side of her nose with one finger and I suppose a shudder. I hope no wayward women try to take my grandfather away from my grandmother when she was in the prime of her youth. If she was anything like Orko is now, I'm sure her vengeance would have been swift and painful. Still, my grandmother flows her forehead ceases with incredible wrinkleness. I know I'm past my prime just like poor old Lestia. Dolls like her used to exceed fashion way back in the day. A lot of people in this village had them. French dolls used to be a status symbol of bored housewives. Little like sports cars and feel to be more affordable. But now, they're outdated. Time marches on, and I caught up with poor Listia. Her hair is starting to fall out. Her clothes have been eaten up by moths. She's never quite recovered from the nasty bump Cameron gave her when he was little. Her right thumb's hanging on with the power of hope and blue tack. She looks alright to me. From a distance, maybe. She's nothing like she was in her glory days. She's really beautiful when we first brought her. Believe it or not, I used to be beautiful too. At least that's what Kikima told me. But all good things come to an end. Sunrise, sunset. Sometimes they come to an end much too quickly. I can hear the snow falling in the background above the low, lazy buzz of the TV. The wind whistles about this old house, shaking it to its very foundations. Like Listia, it's seen better days. I wonder whether my grandmother's house will one day collapse beneath its own old age and all the snow. What will last longer, my grandmother or her home? I don't know much about my grandmother's past, but perhaps that's because there's so little to know. She was born and raised in this tiny village. She never left, save for the odd trip or two to Tokyo and a honeymoon in France. She never had any reason to leave either because life was comfortable here. It's simple and she had no desire to move. Life was simpler back then. Maybe that's because the internet had yet to be invented. It's hard for me to believe, but my grandmother grew up in an era without the World Wide Web, as she calls it. When people wanted to unearth new information, they went to the library or asked around the neighborhood. Progress really is amazing, but people always get left behind. In my grandparents' case, it happened quite literally, as more and more residents of this village began to move onwards in search of new jobs. All the young people left, but their aged parents stayed on. No new blood came in, so this village stagnated. In a few years, all those old people will be no more, and this place will be completely empty. A ghost village filled with the carcasses of these ancient, uninhabited homes, just like the discarded shells of whatever that sea word is. The populations of the cities will continue to swell. Well, quite countryside villages such as this will fade away. The village is already unmistakably beginning to die. You can see it in how dirty and dilapidated this train station is. How empty the streets are, how ramshacked are the old wooden homes. There's hardly anybody here anymore. Just the wind, and the snow, and the stars.
Cool is back.
And Fine Inch is back. I still remember when I first met Yukia. My grandmother's voice is soft, her eyelashes downturned. I was only 16. I went to the local shrine. Well, she got married, so that's somebody had to love her because she gave birth to a human being.
No, she went to sperm bank.
Oh God. I went to the local shrine on New Year's Eve, and with my mother meaning to ring the bell and offer my prayers to the gods. I was wearing a new kimono and a soft gray scarf that was brand new. I thought I looked very fine and I wouldn't stop prepping. My mother told me I'd be stuck with misfortune if I continued being so vain. She was right. My mother always had tremendous foresight. But she didn't know that this would also be the luckiest day of my life. My sword got caught in a sudden breeze, and it drifted away from me. I tried to get it back, but I wasn't fast enough, and I couldn't reach it in time. I was sure my lovely new sword was gone forever until he caught it for me. You mean grandfather? My grandmother nods her head, a small smile on her face. That's right. That sounds very romantic. It was. I was quite taken with him. My grandmother smiles fondly, her fingertips tracing the rim of her teacup. I wish I could go back to the Jingle Shrine. Yukio might be gone now, but I feel closer to him than anyone else. I can still remember how my heart fluttered when he handed me my straw, and our fingers brushed for the very first time. Isn't that special? By the way, there's a game that came out today that's 99 cents that has a platinum. So go nuts, everybody. It was so long ago, but it feels as though it was only yesterday. Then why don't you go back there? It'll be New Year's in a few days. You can relive your old memories. Oh, no, I'm too old, and it's cold. And there are too many stairs. I couldn't go there now. I could help you. You can lean on my shoulder, and I'll escort you up those stairs. I don't mind. Okay, to the stairs part, I know how that is with my bad legs. So that's a sweet offer, dude. But in this weather, I think not. We both slip and break our necks. Well,
maybe I want to break my neck.
Maybe you have a point.
Maybe I want to break my neck.
The snow continues.
That is the point.
The snow continues to fall outside the window. I think it's falling even faster and thicker now. It's such a...
When you have who has a sister, then you know.
If such a thing is possible. I hope nobody's wandering the mountains that surround this village, lost and alone. It seems like the ideal weather for frostbite. Revenge-driven snow lady to search for new victims. And I don't know if I would want to visit Yukio like this anyway. What do you mean? My grandmother looks down at herself at her big sweater, her demeanor skirt, and her weathered old hands laying upon her lap, and sighs. I'm not the bright-eyed, eager young girl I used to be. I've gotten older, and the shrine has gotten older too. It's fallen into despair, just like me. I don't think I could stand to go back and see it crumbling, all overgrown with weeds. I think I'd prefer to keep my memories inside here.
Too bad.
My grandmother holds one hand against her breast. Memories ain't like flowers. It's easier to nurture them in the dark. If I don't expect too much, I can't be disappointed. But that sounds so sad. But that sounds so sad. Getting old is sad, dear, but it's something I've made peace with. It happens to the best of us, and the worst, and everybody in between. And that concludes our interview with the lovely Puntly Princesses. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, but don't switch over yet. We have yet another treat in store. That's right. It's the brand new up-and-coming idol group formed by Sinks called... But I never get to discover what Sinks' new idol group is called, because at that moment the TV sorts out, the screen flickers, and then a series of spectacular colors that circles through strawberry, lemon, and blue Hawaii before it cuts out entirely, eaten up by a full scream of squirming magnet-like static. The snow inside the TV screen. Oh dear. My grandmother trots and shakes her head. All this snow must have knocked down the television antenna. It happened last year too. How long does it take to fix? As long as it takes for a repairman to come out here. Last time this happened, it took 2 weeks. Weeks? And that was after you got phoned them a dozen times. He get quite insistent when he wanted to. I can imagine. I can still remember grandfather's loud booming voice as he called me to the kitchen to fetch my freshly cut slice of watermelon. If it took a man like grandfather weeks to get results, I can't imagine my grandmother would be more successful. Oh well, I don't watch much TV anyway. Then how do you fill the time? I can't imagine there's much to do around here now that I find ways like cooking, and there's always housework to be done, but my back hasn't been quite up to it lately, I admit. And then when it loses a pet, I can always read. Do you read a lot? Oh yes. I always loved reading. There were always so many books I wanted to get through when I was younger, but I never had the time.
I'm illiterate.
Oh, fine, it's just being funny tonight. My grandmother smiles wistfully. Now I have all the time in the world, but my eyesight's so bad I can't focus for more than 10 minutes at a time.
Because I'm an idiot.
For some reason Dimitri said the stream is not working, but I just checked, the stream's working fine, so I don't know what she's talking about. It's always one thing or another. I echo one of Dad's common used phrases, and grandmother laughs. That's what Yukio always said. Dad says it too. Well, it's true. It's always one thing or another. You just have to take the good with the bad. I've had a lot to be thankful for in my life. Like meeting Grandpa? Yes. That's another one of my favorite pastimes. Reliving our first encounter at the shrine. With the swirl, when he caught it, with my heart skipped a beat. I would have been taken with Yukio in any case because he was so tall and distinguished. But when he caught the swirl...
I don't appreciate you or your grandfather. I appreciate voice.
It seems like destiny somehow. It was though the gods at the shrine had taken charge of the wind to ensure that we would meet that night. Oh my.
I bet Miles' voice feel like destiny.
My grandmother smiled sheepishly. It sounds so sentimental when I recount it like that. I think it sounds nice, like something from a movie. I always thought that too. It could be a scenario from an Uso film. I bet Ukio would lap it up. It does sound like that, like the kind of thing she would be interested in, doesn't it? Sadly, I don't think I can retell it in a way she would be fond and compelling. Why not? There wouldn't be any flashy special effects, and it wouldn't star Chakshio Hideya. Who's that? An actor. Otoko loves him. She used to keep a photo of him inside her purse. Well, girls will be girls, won't they? I used to be quite familiar with Ikabe Rose when I was a younger girl. My grandmother starts laughing at her face, cherishing up her mouth, and I can't help but join her. I can't remember the last time I bonded with my grandmother like this.
Ha ha, kidnapping is great, right?
I don't think I've ever bonded with my grandmother like this. The smell of green tea drips through the room. It seems to contaminate the wooden rafters and the tamarind mates embalming, it's bringing everything with a warm and homey aroma. How many cups of green tea have my grandparents drunk? Sitting together in this small, cozy living room. That's how movies always are, I suppose. They like relatively things, making them beautiful. They cast the most handsome actors available, and breathing every last drop of drama out of the events until they nigh unbelievably that's what people want. Sometimes fantasies can be more comfortable than reality. Is that really what you think? Exists a fantasy where I could be a young girl again, I'd jump on it instantly if I could be a girl for only one more day.
Yeah, I would jump on that too. Never to have to see your ugly face.
My grandmother shakes her head, perhaps shouting herself for foolishness, but then she pauses. She sits up a little straighter and then points out the window, almost knocking over her cup of green tea in the process. Oh, look, you. What? Out the window. I turn my head. The snow is still falling thick and fast, obscuring much of the inky night sky, but between the pure white flakes I can just about see it. The moon, hanging majestically above our heads, and there, leaving a trail like a jet plane as it streaks across the night, is a star. A shooting star. I haven't seen any shooting stars in Tokyo. Hardly see any stars in Tokyo, full stop. The buildings are so tall, it's almost like they scare away the stars, shooting them even higher up into the stratosphere. The sky is murky and more mysterious when you live in a big city constantly behected with bright lights. Out here in the middle of nowhere, my view of the night sky is unimpeded by any outside distractions. Not even the snow can mask it. Quickly, you should make a wish. A wish? That's right. I'll make a wish too. My grandmother closes her eyes, her eyelashes mat together like her gray, whispery hair. My grandmother's eyelashes.
All you hear is her I wish for sword while asleep.
I have also started to thin. They look nothing like the plump, vitreous bands of eyelashes that frame the eyes of platinum princess girls. But, thinking about it, those girls' eyelashes can't even be au naturel. The fakes. Olga uses them too. I guess most guys wouldn't care about that. They might not even realize it. But when you have a fashionable little sister like Otio, you know about the tricks women use to amplify their own beauty whether you want to or not. Speaking of Otio, maybe I should wish for that. Yeah. I can't think of anything else I'd rather ask for. If there are gods out there, mischievous beings, light as air, who conspired to bring my grandparents together all those decades, then I hope they can hear my humble wish. I only have one. I hope Odora and I can get along better. I swear, it almost didn't seem like that was what it was going to be, wasn't it? The way he was talking. I spent that night lying in in a futon my grandmother prepared for me in the guest room. Well, I call it guest room, but it's more like a storage room, really, cluttered with various bits and pieces my grandparents had bought over the course of their long lives. There's a bookcase pushed to one side of the room filled from top to bottom with paperbacks. One of those... this is where my grandmother stores all the books she can keep in her bedroom or the living room.
All the slaves she could keep. The answer, yes.
When my grandmother said she was a vacation in Sweden, she wasn't lying. The whole house is crammed with books ranging from classics we students had to suffer through in high school. I'm looking at you, Sketchmaster. To modern tales penned by best-selling authors like Mitsuki Kia, Nomiya Ishii, Kakio Kugyo, and many more I've never heard of. Some of the books are dog-eared and look well-worn and well-loved, but most of them are brand new. They're pretty and pleasant, like the fearless falling snow outside. The pages are immaculate, the cover's devoid of any wear and tear. I gotta pause this game for a second. I want to look at the... I've earned a few... Oh, are you kidding me? I've only earned 2 trophies in this game already.
2 out of how many?
12. I thought this was a quick and easy platinum. I might have been wrong, folks. The side of these books half hidden in the... Well, probably... Once we get done to the next day, I'll probably will be stopping for the night. We'll pick this up again tomorrow. The side of these books, half hidden in encouraging darkness, touches at something inside my breast. I'm not sure what it is exactly. Sympathy? There's so many books my grandmother wants to read.
Murder.
So many books she never get the time to read now. Nearly constant snowfall drums instantly against the window pane. The icy wind, sharp as razors, slide through gaps in the walls and dance about the room. Unseen and invisible. Yep, but undauntingly there. The howling of the wind makes me think of ghosts of spirits. Snow women that roam the mountains, their faces white as milk. Their eyelashes decorated with fallen snowflakes like shining gemstones. I wonder, what mysterious forces of nature was it that parted my grandmother from her sorrow all those years ago and sent her running into the arms of my grandfather? Was it just a sudden gust of wind, or was there something more to it? I'm not a superstitious person, unlike some of my fellow university students. I don't spend hours a night traveling the internet searching for urban legends and conspiracy theories to get riled up about. I prefer to believe that things simply happen and there's not always a reason for it. And that's just the way life is. That's my typical stance on the issue, but... when I'm this old house, inhabited with the scents of green teas served to hundreds, no thousands of ghostly impressions of my grandfather's parents past. When I'm surrounded by old books that have been well loved and new books that may never have a chance to be loved, and the snow is falling softly from beyond my darkened window, I can almost bring myself to believe maybe it really was a spirit after all. It's easy to believe in magic, in spirits, and destiny when you're isolated in the countryside, miles and miles away from the noise and the traffic and the high-rise buildings of Tokyo. I'm not sure why. Perhaps being alone beneath the starry sky naturally fuels our imaginations. It's harder to imagine when you're surrounded by too many people. Life always... Hold on one second, because it's 7 o'clock. Life always swallows you up like a tidal wave, allowing no time for idle thoughts like this. I turn open my futon restlessly, looking up the thin covers. There's only one pillow to rest my head on, and it's a sad, thin-bread thing that smells faintly of mildew and old age. I can't help but imagine, as I try and fail to get comfortable, that the spirits are giggling on my misfortune. The snow outside really is relentless. The wind continues to melt. The timber mats creak in. All the while, as I slowly fall into the land of dreams, I swear I can hear the faint sound of muffled laughter. Alright, so that's gonna do it. We are now at December 30th, Saturday. When we come back, we will be starting here. So it looks like this video is this platinum number 264. It's gonna be a little longer than I would hope, but say love you to get us something to hold us over. Till then, see you next time for part 3 of this, a winter platinum story time.